The card declines at the gas station. Not because the money isn't there, because you moved it into something that takes 3 days to move back. You stand there a second too long, and the guy behind you sighs, and you feel it in your chest before you feel it anywhere else. That old, hot shame, the one you thought you'd outgrown. You haven't outgrown it. You've just started making a different kind of mistake. This is what nobody shows you. The money doesn't fix the flinch. You have to fix the flinch first, and it costs more than the money did. Level 1. $20,000. It sits in checking, all of it. You check the balance this morning the way you check your pulse after a scare. Quick, relieved, gone. You don't know the word liquidity. You know the number, and the number is the whole plan. You buy the jacket. $240, marked down from $380, and the markdown is the reason you buy it. You tell yourself it's smart. It's not smart, it's fast. Poor decisions are fast, rich decisions are slow, and you don't know that yet. The rule: money you can see, you will spend. Your friend Elena has less than you and drives a nicer car. You don't ask how, you just feel, for the first time, the particular loneliness of doing math nobody else is doing. At night, you open the banking app and close it again without reading anything. The number is the same as this morning. You check it anyway. Checking it is the only ritual you have. The letter comes in March. A relative dies, someone you barely knew, and there's a number attached to your name that you have to read twice. $61,000. Level 2. $60,000. You do what everyone does. You feel rich for 11 days. You do not do what old money does, which is nothing, immediately, on purpose. You buy a truck. 41,000 of it disappears into a truck with a payment attached, and the payment is smaller than the shame would have been if you just kept driving the old one. So you sign. The finance guy at the dealership calls it a smart structure. 6 years, $480 a month. You do the math in your head. 28,000 more than the sticker, over time, for the privilege of driving it now instead of later. You sign anyway. Later has never once felt real to you. The rule: a windfall doesn't test your income, it tests your character. You start noticing something. The people who never seem stressed about money never seem to touch it either. You think that's coincidence. It isn't. Your uncle, the one who left you the $61,000, lived in the same 2-bedroom house for 30 years and drove a car with a cracked mirror. You used to think that meant he didn't have money. Now you own his money, and it's already smaller than what he left behind. And you're beginning to suspect the cracked mirror wasn't poverty. It was a decision. A coworker, Marcus, invites you to his house for the first time. Nice house. Not flashy. Quiet. Paid off. He tells you, almost bored, that he hasn't carried a credit card balance in 9 years. You laugh like it's a joke. It isn't a joke. It's a fact stated by someone who no longer finds it interesting. Level 3. $150,000. You've been saving without noticing because the truck payment forced a smaller life, and the smaller life left room. $150,000 spread across 3 accounts you keep forgetting exist. For the first time, you don't check the balance. You forget, for 4 days straight, and the forgetting feels like the opposite of poverty. The rule: old money doesn't watch the number, old money watches the rate. You open a brokerage account at 11 at night, alone, no one to tell. You put in $80,000 and you don't touch it for a year. Nobody claps. There's no moment. Just a decision that looks, from the outside, exactly like doing nothing. Marcus asks what you're doing with the rest. You tell him about a savings rate you've never said out loud to anyone. 31%, month over month, automatic, before you ever see it land in checking. He nods like it's unremarkable. You go home and realize that was the first time in your life someone heard your number and didn't react to it at all. It feels better than being impressed. Your card gets declined at the gas station. This is the same scene from the opening, and now you understand it. It's not that the money isn't there, it's that you moved it somewhere that doesn't answer fast, on purpose. Because fast money gets spent and slow money gets rich. Level 4. $400,000. A financial advisor named Priya calls you back within the hour. First time in your life a financial professional has called you back within the hour. She doesn't ask what you want to buy. She asks what you want to never have to think about again. Nobody's ever asked you that question. You almost don't have an answer. The rule. At a certain amount, the question stops being, "What can I afford?" and starts being, "What am I willing to owe?" She walks you through something called an asset location strategy, and none of it is complicated once she says it slowly. Which accounts get taxed now? Which ones later? Which ones never? You'd spent a decade thinking wealth was a single number. It's actually a dozen small decisions about timing, made quietly, years before anyone needs them. Your mother asks to borrow $8,000. You have it. You give it anyway, slower than she expects, structured like a loan instead of a gift, with a plain one-page agreement Priya helped you draft. She's hurt. And you let her be hurt. Because old money protects the money before it protects the feeling. You lie awake that night. Not about the money, about the version of you that would have wired it in 9 minutes just to avoid the discomfort of her face. You're a little disappointed in how easy it was to not be that person anymore. Priya sends you a chart a week later. Not stocks, a chart of your own spending. 24 months, color-coded, and there's a line where the colors change entirely. Before the line, everything is red and urgent. After it, everything is small and repeating. Same coffee, same gym, same $41 for the truck's oil change. Boring on purpose every month, forever. You stare at the line longer than you expected to. The invitation is a thick cream envelope, no return address you recognize. A wealth event, the kind where the flyer doesn't mention a price, because asking the price is how they know you don't belong yet. Level 5. $1.2 million. You go. Everyone in the room is quiet in the same specific way. Not shy, unbothered. A man named Whit tells you, mid-sentence, mid-drink, that the goal was never to make money. The goal was to make decisions that make money without him. He says it the way you'd mention the weather. The rule. At 7 figures, your job stops being to earn. Your job becomes to decide. Someone asks what you do for a living, and you catch yourself hesitating, because the honest answer, that your money now works longer hours than you do, sounds like a brag in a room where it's just a fact. So you say your old job title instead. It's easier. It's also, you realize, the first lie you've ever told about money in either direction. You call your old friend Elena to tell her about the party. She doesn't call back for 6 days. When she does, the conversation is shorter than it used to be. Neither of you says why. Both of you know why. You still drive past her street sometimes. You could stop. You never do. It's not that you don't want to. It's that you've noticed the silence between you says something true, and neither of you is ready to say it out loud. So you both just let the silence keep saying it. Your accountant uses the word estate for the first time, and it lands strange, because estate used to mean someone else's parents, someone else's lawyer, someone else's problem. Level 6. $5.4 million. The private bank calls you, not the other way around. A woman named Corinne, calm voice, no pitch. She doesn't ask what you'd like to invest in. She asks what you're trying to protect, and from whom, and for how many generations. The rule. The bank doesn't have a customer at 5 million. The bank has a client it studies. She mentions a trust structure, a document with your name on it that won't finish mattering until long after you're not around to read it. You sign it on a Tuesday. There's no ceremony. A notary, a handshake, a parking validation. The biggest decision of your financial life takes 11 minutes and ends with you circling the block for a parking spot you already paid for. You stop mentioning numbers to people who aren't Corinne, not out of secrecy, out of exhaustion. You've learned that a number this size doesn't make people happy for you. It makes people quiet, and then it makes them different, and you'd rather they just stayed the same.
You buy nothing that month.
The silence used to feel like poverty. Now, it feels like control. Corinne asks, almost in passing, whether you still have the truck. You do. Paid off, dented, still yours. She doesn't say anything about it, and you understand that not saying anything is the compliment. The truck was never the mistake. Buying it with panic instead of patience was the mistake, and you can't undo that from here. But you can notice you haven't panicked since. Your daughter asks why you never seem excited about money anymore. You think about it longer than the question deserves. Level 7. $22 million. There's no windfall this time. No letter, no truck, no thick envelope. Just years of decisions nobody watched you make, compounding in a room you never visit. Corinne sends a report twice a year. You read it in 4 minutes and go back to your life. The rule. The bank doesn't have a customer at 20 million. The bank has a partner. You think about the jacket. $240, marked down from $380. You could still buy it without noticing the price, and that's exactly why you don't want it anymore. The wanting was never about the jacket. It was about being seen wanting something you couldn't quite afford. You can afford everything now, and the wanting, strangely, went with the scarcity. You miss it sometimes. The way you'd miss a room you used to live in. You drive past the gas station where the card declined. Same pumps, same fluorescent light. You don't feel the old flinch. You feel something quieter, and it takes you a mile to name it. Not pride, just distance. From the version of you that needed the world to see the number before he'd believe it was real. You never needed the world to see it. You just needed to stop needing that. There's a version of this story where the numbers keep climbing and nothing else changes. That version doesn't exist. Every level costs something the previous level couldn't have priced. Elena. The easy afternoons. The version of you that felt joy the second a paycheck landed, instead of a slow, quiet confirmation 6 months later that a decision had worked. You used to think wealth was a destination, a number you'd arrive at and then finally exhale. It isn't. It's a series of rooms, and every room has a different temperature, and you don't get to keep the furniture from the last one. Your daughter is 7 now. She has a piggy bank shaped like a pig, and she shakes it every night to hear the coins move, and the sound makes her happier than anything Corinne has ever put in a report. You watch her do this, and you don't correct her. You don't tell her that the sound she loves is the sound of money that isn't working. You let her have the room you already left. Someday she'll get a letter, or a phone call, or a declined card at a gas station of her own. You already know which one it'll be. You've started writing it down for her. Not instructions, not a lesson. Just the levels, plainly, the way they happened to you. What the rule was, what it cost, what came after. You don't know if she'll listen. Nobody listens the first time. You didn't. For entertainment and reflection only, not financial advice. If you've made a version of this decision, the slow one, the boring one, the one nobody clapped for, say where you were when you made it. There's more like this, if you want to keep thinking about it.